Imagine losing everything. Your life savings wiped out, your identity stolen, or even worse, becoming the victim of a crime so devastating that you can't even talk about it. Now imagine that after all this, you're too afraid to report this. Well, this happens more often than you might think, and it leaves the victims obviously feeling helpless. I recently spoke at a conference for new Canadians and international students. I was there to share what I've learned from my 21-year policing career and my current role as Human Rights Commissioner. So the organizers asked me to focus on the 3 most common scams and frauds targeting newcomers. And that was easy. I mean, I've seen these crimes firsthand hundreds of times. But what I didn't expect was I found something even more disturbing, and it was suspiciously difficult to find out any information about it at all. And why was that? Because it's also one of the most underreported crimes. I'm going to tell you what that is, but there's something you need to know. If there's one thing you take away from this video, let it be this. Reporting a crime will not affect your immigration status in Canada. This is a common thought that keeps victims silent and it allows the suspects to keep reoffending, leading to worse crimes and even more victims. Threatening your status in Canada or lowering your chances of obtaining permanent residency, that's something that people in positions of power or authority may use in an argument against you or as a way to keep you silent. So I primarily worked in Scarborough with Toronto Police. And with Toronto being the most multicultural city in the world, we would naturally have a lot of newcomers. And with so many colleges and universities close by, there was a large population of international students. So over the course of my policing career, of course I've attended calls relating to international students and newcomers, not just a few times, but hundreds, if not thousands of times, which tells me that some of these incidents aren't uncommon at all. Landlords raising rent or not providing the services originally agreed upon, overcrowding, problems with roommates stealing food, becoming the victim of a robbery, threatening, assault, extortion, which is actually huge. A lot of these incidents don't go reported until someone reaches a boiling point, or it becomes too much to take mentally, or even until someone needs to go to the hospital to seek medical care. It's very sad. They can't take it anymore. It can't be hidden anymore. Now, once again, the number of these calls, these crimes or offenses, it's a lot higher because they don't go reported, because the victim may believe that it's going to affect their immigration status in Canada. So let's quickly go over the 3 most common frauds and scams. And then I'm going to mention the 4th, which, again, for some reason came as a surprise. First, tuition and scholarship scams. So somebody poses as an education consultant or school representative. They offer fake scholarships or discounts on tuition fees. They ask for money up front. They gather a bunch of information, personal information, and that's when they disappear. So you're out the money, but because you handed over all your personal information, this is where identity fraud may occur. Not uncommon. Second, immigration and visa scams. Here, someone will pretend to be an immigration consultant or immigration official. They take money to expedite or speed up the process, the immigration process, or they provide a special immigration service for a fee. They threaten deportation or somehow mess up with your status in Canada if the fees aren't paid. And of course, once they have your information and you're vulnerable, the fee goes up. The third, rental scams. So this has to do with, one example, fake listings on websites or social media pages. They offer rooms, require payment up front, you pay them, and they disappear. Often without seeing the room at all. Or even if you do see it, the day you go to move in, there's 12 other people looking to move in because they also paid their first and last to some agent who decided to take off. There's nothing to be embarrassed about here, okay? Some of these things don't just only happen to new Canadians or the vulnerable. I made a video not too long ago about me being the victim of identity fraud and that I had to report it to the police division that I worked at. I'll include a link in the description, but I was a victim reporting it to the police as a police officer in full uniform. It was very scary and humbling. The suspect in this case created all kinds of fake profiles, doing their best to connect with women online for a variety of different reasons. It's a crazy story, dangerous. And he was even planning to meet them in person. So what would have even happened? Listen, people were having conversations with somebody they thought was me. The matter was investigated thoroughly. The suspect was located and dealt with. It wasn't a pleasant experience. So where I'm going with this is it happens. Don't be embarrassed. Okay. So we've covered 3 most common scams: tuition, immigration, and rental. Ones that are already damaging enough. But the one crime I didn't expect to find, and I would say it's more disturbing and unreported than you may think, is sexual exploitation, sextortion. Take one of the examples I just gave you. So rental scams, education or immigration, and add the fourth. Now one of those individuals is taking advantage of you in the worst possible way. And one of the reasons why it's extremely underreported or even talked about is because of shame and embarrassment. Shame on the individual, or the victim, I should say, and the perceived shame that they would bring to their family and friends if they were to find out. So sad. So obviously law enforcement wouldn't be aware of these incidents if it's not reported. And if it's not reported, they can't act on it. Set up a special project to specifically deal with that. So two things. Once again, being a victim and reporting these types of crimes will not affect your immigration status. And number two, it's never been easier to report these incidents. You don't necessarily have to call the cops and have them come to your door so obvious in uniform. Yeah, if there's arrests to be made and such, that changes things. But there's multiple ways that you can report these things, including the school you attend or workplace. I've attended personally calls where the victim called from school or work because of safety concerns. There's lots of reasons why. If you know of any resources or organizations that help victims of fraud or exploitation, please drop it in the comments, okay? Your input could be invaluable to somebody watching this video right now. And the best part is that these resources are completely free of charge. I saw a news conference just a few days ago, and it was regarding this exact issue. And judging by the comments, people were amazed that this could be so rampant in our country. And you can't blame people for not knowing. Even law enforcement, if they don't know, then how can the average Canadian know? I lived in Vancouver, Surrey for almost 10 years and have a place in Prince Edward Island. One part of the country to another. I don't represent every Canadian, but I was born and raised in Canada. I'm old as heck. And unless you really have your ear to the ground, you just wouldn't know. So you can't blame the average person for not being aware. I have two bits of information, pieces of advice for you, okay, before I close off. When I take part in these panel discussions, at the end, I'm often asked what advice I would give young people or people looking to branch out to possibly bring some success. The first piece of advice isn't just for new Canadians, okay, or international students. This is for everybody. It's something I've been doing for a very long time personally, and it's, I would say, directly related to some of my successes in both my personal and professional life. It's the importance of networking, breaking outside your comfort zone and networking. I've had a lot of opportunity in life. I'm a blessed man in many ways, but most of the opportunities which have come my way are because of networking. If you can do this in person, great. If not, you can also do this online. And I'm not talking about just short form video apps. I mean, create a LinkedIn profile. Connect with individuals who are where you would like to be. My second piece of advice, get out and explore this beautiful country. Attend events and festivals that you normally wouldn't. Again, break outside of your comfort zone. I've seen some of the promotional material that advertises Canada and some other countries, and it's always the same thing. I see big, beautiful green mountains and waterfalls, and I see moose, a beaver making a dam, deer. The cities all look so clean and warm and welcoming. Next thing you know, you come in February into the middle of the city. It's gray, it's cold, it's dark, short days. I mean, you can get very depressed. That's depressing for anybody. So listen, you got to make a point of exploring this beautiful country and all it has to offer. If this video has opened your eyes in any way, or you know someone who might need to hear this, please share it with them, okay? Let's spread the word. If you have any good resources, please leave them in the comments. People pay attention. I read every comment, and I've said in the past, I respond when it's appropriate to do so. So listen, folks, until the next video, be safe out there, look after one another, and perhaps we will see you again.